So we'll begin with our introduction of SAP REFX, SAP REFX Master Data, SAP REFX Business Partner Master Data today. Okay. So these are the disclaimer. Now today's agenda. What we are going to cover: application of SAP REFX in different business scenarios, business entity, building, property, rental object, master data. So business entity, building, property, and rental object, all of these are master data, and other master data are business partner. Apart from that, we have measurement, posting parameter, partner, and resubmission, business partner role, and business partner assignment. Okay, so to begin with our REFX introduction. So what is REFX? So REFX is majorly used to succeed in today's global highly competitive economy, and asset optimization in real estate management is crucial. So when we say flexible real estate, what does it mean by? So let's say we have multiple asset, real estate asset is being managed by a certain organization or some construction company. So it is really important for them to manage those real estate objects, real estate master data, or any of the real estate rental objects which are there op- effectively. So when we say effectively, that means we have to see which all objects are available, which all objects are being released out, which all objects are like still remain. There are multiple scenarios in real estate wherein we can see that okay, some common spaces are there. Common space, as in you might have seen, one of the best example is like in mall. When we go in mall, we have a common space like called as food court. Okay, food court, it is not specifically assigned to any of the one vendor. Like let's say Domino's is there, KFC is there. It is not specifically assigned to that particular vendor, but it is assigned to all of the vendors, right? Now how exactly we are going to manage all of that food court area, that we are going to see in REFX. Okay, we can manage all of the activities, all of the service charges, all of the costs within REFX. Okay, organization need to ensure full visibility into their property portfolio to make informed decision. As I mentioned, like how much of property is there, how exactly they are utilizing, that can be managed through flexible real estate. Improving portfolio performance and reducing compliance cost are key objective in real estate management. Increased global competition has raised the need for sophisticated solution in handling in changing consumer demand. Workforce management, information management, compliance adherence, leasing management, and property management effectively. So when we say workforce management, it is not just an area. Okay, as I have given an example of food court, it is not just an area that we are managing through flexible real estate. We are also managing the costs that are like electricity is there, maintenance cost are there, water is there, any of the cleaning activities are there, or even in mall, if when we go, parking is also there, right? So all of these activities can be managed through flexible real estate. Flexible real estate is a full-featured and integrated solution that enables effective real estate management and provides greater insight into one's real estate portfolio. The application addresses all phases of the real estate life cycle, including acquisition or disposal, portfolio management, and property and technical management. So one of the example which I have given you is already a constructed real estate building, right? That is a food court. But apart from that, we can also manage under construction or a constructed building which has not been yet leased out or not have been started functioning. So that can also be managed through flexible real estate. It's not just real estate objects that we can manage through REFX module, but certain other modules are also there which we can manage it through this module. Okay. REFX is an emerging workstream in SAP world, covering industries such as airport authorities, postal services, building services, insurance company, energy suppliers, office space managers, railway, real estate investment trust, manufacturers, shopping center managers, retailers, bankers, and telecommunication firm. So one of the example which I have given you is real estate, right? Now we have seen that there are so many of other industry that we can manage through REFX. So how exactly? I'll quickly give you one example of each industry. Airport, again in airport we have common area wherein certain multiple vendors are there, so that common area can be managed through REFX. Okay. Housing authorities, let's say like we have a very great example of like government housing authorities are there, like in Maharashtra we have it as Mahada. Okay. Maharashtra Housing Authority Development. Okay. So that means they develop it and they rent it out. Apart from that, then we have government quarters which are there. So all of these can be managed through housing authority. Postal services. So postal services is like one of the example for that is like when we send something, when we send a courier through post, be it parcel or normal courier. So how much of the area now in India when we send a courier or when we send a post, it occupies certain space within railway bogies, like a railway compartment, right? So how much of it, the area is been occupied, that can be managed. Building services, I have already given you an example. Insurance company example is like let's say we have a contract with insurance company that up to certain uh, the very best example of insurance company is like when we travel out, we take a travel insurance, right? So travel insurance is nothing but our contract with our insurance company. So that contract can also be managed through insurance company. Energy suppliers, so energy supplies, this comes under ISU, that is utilities. Okay. So REFX module has an integration with FICA module as well, that is contract accounting. So we can have a contract accounting integration with REFX as well. Office space managers, like as I have given you an example of food court, the same example can be of office space managers, like we have WeWork and all. So that is a common space that has been managed by WeWork. But if certain spaces within WeWork have been leased out to some organization on a long term basis, that can be managed through REFX. Railways, again, like if you are aware, we have goods container, like goods railway, right? So within goods railway, we do transport our goods. So it is not necessarily required that each of the container within railway will be occupied by one organization or one company itself. It can be like, okay, one container is there, out of which certain like 30% has been occupied by XYZ company, and the rest 70% has been occupied by ABC company. So that can be managed through REFX. Real estate investment trust, again, it's the same example of mall which I have given. Manufacturer, so one of the manufacturer example can be let's say that I'll give you an example of Tata itself. Tata Motors, what they do is within Pimpri Chinchwad or in Pune. So they have a certain plant available in Pune. So let's say they have a capacity of producing 100 cars, but if they have like they have a demand of 110 and they cannot produce, I'm just taking an example of cars, ideally it's not car, but it is a spare part related activity. Okay. So when they have an exceeded demand, okay, that means like 110. So the extra 10 cars demand which is there, what they will do is they'll give it out on a job work, that is nothing but a subletting. Okay. They are subleasing out to another manufacturer, asking them that okay, right now our capacity is of 100, but the extra 10 cars which we have got as a demand, so you please manufacture it on behalf of us and we'll pay certain amount. So that subleasing can also be moved to REFX module. Okay. Shopping centers, it is mall only. Retailers, again, like the same example I have given you of like shopping center and retailer comes under same. Banks is like they have certain contracts. Okay, hedging contracts and all. Then fund management contracts. Again, like as I mentioned over here, we like REFX has integration with FICA module. It also has integration with FM module, that is funds management. Okay. Telecommunication firms. So in telecommunication, how exactly REFX comes into picture? So let's say XYZ, like Vodafone organization is there. It is not necessary that Vodafone will own all the towers in the country by themselves, right? So half of the towers will be owned by them, half of the towers will be owned by some other telecommunication industry. But that doesn't mean that wherever Vodafone is not there, Vodafone tower is not there, they won't have their reach availability, right? So what they do is they have a contract, or they have a like lease with other telecommunication industry organization, that okay, whenever our user will enter into your area or your tower range, you and if they utilize some of the data within from your tower, so we are going to pay you XYZ amount. So those kind of contract can also be managed through SAP REFX module. So in this, SAP REFX is not just for real estate, it is for like it is a contract and lease management module. What is flexible real estate management? This component fulfills the requirement of real estate management by providing a comprehensive view of all business transactions related to it. Applications: management of real estate, contract management, space management, leasing, control of business processes relevant to real estate. So as I mentioned, it is not just related to real estate, but also contract management, space management, leasing. Space management is nothing, one of the example which I have given you of airport and mall, like wherein 1,000 square feet of area is there, out of which certain spaces will be occupied by multiple vendors or multiple outlets. So that is called space management. Okay. Management of real estate. So we have to understand that within real estate we have two type of view, that is two type of organization structure. When we say view, it is nothing but an organizational structure of REFX. One is architectural view and second is usage view. So what do you mean by architecture view? So architectural view is like it will be an exact replication of the blueprint of the construction site. Let's say, again I'll take the same example of mall. We have a mall called Phoenix. In that mall, on the ground floor, we at the center of west side of the mall, we have a fountain. Okay. Now that is something, we it will come under as architecture view. That fountain will come under architecture view. What will be usage view? Again same, that Phoenix mall has 3 floors. On each floor there are around like 100 shops. So if I have to utilize, like on ground floor from left, if I have to go, first complex, like first outlet will be, or first shop will be of Under Armour, second will be of Shopper Stop, third will be of Nika. That is how the usage view will be defined. So architectural view is optional when we utilize, like when we work for within REFX module, but usage view is mandatory. What do you mean by optional for architectural view? So it is not necessarily required that you have to create architectural view when you are utilizing REFX module. It can be an requirement wherein business or a client would ask you to that, okay, I want my all the blueprints to be integrated with SAP module, SAP REFX module. Then we will activate, or we will create this architectural view. Apart from that, if business or the client is not requiring any such things, then we won't use that. What I will do, or what we can do is, we can directly create usage view. Usage view is a mandatory view. Unless and until we do not create it, we won't be able to create any of the contract and start posting to contracts. Okay. So that is what architectural view is, and usage view in overview. So in further slides, we will go in details how exactly it flow, what are the organizational structure of each of them. Okay. So within usage view and architectural view, you create your rental object, that is like business entity, land, building, rental unit, rental space, rental room. Okay. So these are the master data. These are not transactional data. These are master data of REFX. Okay. So are we guys clear until this? So moving on to contract management. The real estate contract lets you manage all contract related to your real estate portfolio. Real estate contract of lease in and lease out category. So as I mentioned, it can be either lease in, it can be either lease out. What is lease in? So I have given you an example like, okay, TCS have the cafeteria, but they have like identified certain vendors to serve the meals and food. So that will be a lease in. Now, what will be a lease out scenario? TCS has a building of 10 floor, but they only utilize 7 floor out of those 10 floor, and the 3 floor are being utilized by XYZ organization. Now, that will be called as lease out. So both lease in and lease out can be managed through REFX model. It is not just lease in scenario which we manage. Any of the leases or contracts can be managed through it. General customer contract, service contract with the tenant, as I mentioned. A general vendor contract, maintenance contract with service provider. Service provider is your like cafeteria meal provider. GL account contract, posting reserve for service charges, security deposit agreement. Service charges are like, if you remember in the start, I have given you an example of mall wherein food court is there and the common expenses are incurred, and those expenses can be settled between all of the vendors who are utilizing those food court area. Okay, that can be managed through contract management. Space management. Space and room management takes account of unusual architectural structure, usage consideration, technical amenities, and feature. You can define spaces flexibly and rent them, extracting them from larger available space. In addition, data exchange with external graphic system allows you to visually represent your real estate object. So space management, again, when I mention about the airport example wherein we have 1,000 square feet of area, and in that airport we have multiple vendors utilizing that 1,000 square feet, let's say like Rameshwaram Cafe is there, Chai Hatti is there, or KFC is there. All of those will be utilizing this particular area. But how exactly they will be utilizing? So let's say I have created a rental space of 1,000 square feet. Out of that 1,000, Rameshwaram Cafe is using let's say 250 square feet of area. So what I'll do is I'll create a rental space, like rental unit of that, sorry, rental space of that much of amount, that is 250. So out of the pool space of 1,000 square feet, that particular 250 will get deducted, and now the pool space will remain of 750. Okay, so it is nothing but a consolidation, or you can say a bucket, out of which whenever we are taking out some square feet or some spaces, it will be remained of that much of area. Again, if say that we Rameshwaram Cafe has decided that okay, they do not want to continue on any of the airport and they want to like terminate the contract, then once the contract is terminated, again that particular space will get added to pool space area. So ideally when it was 750 and the contract got terminated, and when we add it back again, it will become of 1,000. So that is how the space management comes into picture. And as I mentioned, architectural view is just for representation purpose, or you can say it is for view purpose. Coming to control of business processes relevant to real estate. What are the business processes? What all business processes we can manage through REFX module? The following important processes in the management of real estate are integrated into component: asset asset management, posting, and reports. So through contract management, we can create asset or we can assign asset to a contract, and we can also post asset acquisition and liabilities accordingly. So we will cover in our one of the session when we have for IFRS 16. In that session, we will cover how exactly the asset management comes into picture, what all entries get posted, and how does the IFRS 16 get impacted. So when we say asset management, it is purely IFRS 16 for REFX. If we are assigning an asset to a contract, then that means IFRS 16 is implicated. Okay. Just make a note of this, that whenever we are assigning any of the asset to a REFX contract, that means IFRS 16 has been implicated, and that particular organization is managing IFRS 16 through REFX module. Real estate controlling, cost planning, intercompany activity assignment, cost settlement, profit center accounting. So cost planning, as in within contract, we have called as cash flow. So through that cash flow, we can identify in leasing scenario how much of payment has to be done in coming future. Let's say if any of the organization needs to plan that next month how much of payment I'll be making to a certain contract. So through those cash flow, we can identify that XYZ amount of payment has to be done against this contract. Intercompany activity, there can be a scenario that one asset has been owned by one company, and that company has leased out that particular asset to another one of their subsidiaries company. So that is one of the scenario. Okay, so that is what intercompany activity can be. Cost settlement, as I mentioned, service charge. If we are incurring any of the service charge related active like cost, then how exactly we can settle those costs. Profit center accounting, based on the profit center we can identify. Planning and controlling new building development, maintenance, and modernization project. Like if we are planning like any of the real estate related objects are there, and if we are planning any of the construction, as I mentioned, phase wise phase can be managed through REFX module. Purchase order processing and commitments management for the operation and maintenance of real estate. So again, like we can have a purchase order integration with REFX. So as and when each purchase order has been released, we can have that purchase order assigned to contract management. The SAP Flexible Real Estate Management module, also known as REFX, is included in your core SAP installation. This module provides a triple view of master data: land usage management or the legal view, architectural view or geographical view, and usage view or the financial view. The different view allows for collecting various data and facilitate the easy creation and management of all type of real estate objects. SAP REFX become relevant when property is constructed and ready for commercial use. So as I mentioned, like whenever the property is constructed and we are using it like just like a mall, if we have started using or started leasing out malls, then how exactly we are leasing it out to whom, and which area of the mall or which unit of the mall we are leasing it out, that also can be managed through REFX. So these are the activities. Like one is post construction, again like FICA, FM, we also have project system integration with REFX. So FICA is one of the like cross module integration. PS is one of the cross module integration. FM, funds management, is one of the cross module integration. Asset accounting is another one. Then we have CO also. So these all modules we can have an integration with. Okay. Also with P2P, that is MM. Okay. Real estate management solution provides map solution, property acquisition and disposal, buy, build, lease, and sell, and buy portfolio like architecture, furniture, and fixtures, usage, business partner. Commercial management, contract management, condition adjustment, sales-based rent, service charge settlement, third parties management, and monitoring critical dates. Technical management, lease event, building operations, maintenance, repair and management, refurbishment and supplying, supplies and disposal. Infrastructure facility management, like cleaning and other services, move management, room reservation, catering and equipment, safety and services. So these all activities, like if you are thinking that okay, real estate related activities only can be managed through REFX, no. As I mentioned, there are multiple scenarios that can be managed through REFX, and these are one of the cases, like or you can say business processes wherein you can utilize your REFX module. Now, if you'll ask how exactly catering and equipment can be managed, so catering is also like we have a contract with third party. Let's say third party will come and manage the event, catering and all for certain banquet hall. So that is also one of the contract or lease. Not lease, I would say it will be a contract with that third party. So that contract can also be managed through REFX. So you need to think in multiple ways, that if you have contract management, then REFX. If you have lease management, then REFX. If you have like real estate management, then again REFX. So these all things can be managed through REFX, not just real estate. Okay. So as I mentioned, there are multiple integration, like cross module integration. FI is there. Obviously FI has to be there, because if any posting has to be done, then it will happen through REFX and FI integration only. Controlling is there, fixed asset, project system, plant maintenance, service management. CRM is also one of them. Business warehouse, any external system such as ESRI or spatial information system, AutoCAD or drawing system, and document management or DMS. So these geospatial information system, AutoCAD, all of these will be coming into picture when we utilize architectural view. So ideally, when we use architectural view, the like the architectural blueprint will get integrated with REFX, and that is how the whole design or the whole blueprint will be coming into SAP module. Okay, I'll assume it as clear. SAP S4 HANA, master data, lands and building, space management. So these are all the activities which we can perform. Like if we see master data, what all master data we can create? That is land and building, business entities, spaces and rental unit. Then come under master data, we can search for, like it is our real estate search is nothing like, as I have given you, like housing authorities example. If any of the organization want to see, okay, out of 100 unit, how many units have been utilized, or if some person comes in and that person asks that okay, my requirement is I want a house of 1000 square feet carpet area and two balconies and two bedrooms, we can also configure those kind of attributes in REFX. So through search, our real estate search, we can identify that okay, like real estate manager can search that okay, that 1000 square foot of carpet area, two balcony and two bedroom apartment, where exactly I'll be having that kind of property. So when a real estate manager in a search for that kind of property, it will get to know that okay, in certain area or certain city we have this particular requirement available. Space management, Space management, again, as I have mentioned, the airport example which I have given. Lease management is nothing but your lease in and lease out. Move management move management is again like, if out of space management, if someone has moved out, that is called as move management. Room reservation, it will come majorly under like any of the like accommodation or hotel based industry. Rent calculation methods. So this is where how exactly your calculation happens. Cost recovery. Okay. Again, integration with Visual Enterprise, AutoCAD, GIS. This will be your architectural view. Workflows are like how many approval processes are there. Like if certain contract has been created, how exactly it will get approved. It's a normal workflow. CRM, again, CRM, customer relationship management. Coming to usage view. Now this is what our usage view looks like. So this is the organizational structure of our usage view. Okay. So the very first organizational structure under usage view will be your company code. So company code comes from your financial organizational structure. Okay. Then comes your business entity. So business entity, again, it is like, let's take an example of, one of the example can be Phoenix Mall. Okay, we'll take that example throughout usage view. Phoenix Mall have multiple malls in India. Okay, they have their mall in Pune, they have their mall in Mumbai, they have their mall in Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Kolkata. Okay, now within each city they also have multiple malls. Like in Bangalore, they might be having one mall in Brookfield or Whitefield, and another mall in Electronic City. So this can be scenario. But for Phoenix Market City, the company code will be India, right? In India, they have multiple business entity. How exactly you can create your business entity? I am just giving you as an example. This business entity can be different as well, but for your understanding purpose, I am creating business entity as each city. Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata. Each of these city will be created as individual business entity. Okay. Now under business entity, we have to create land and building. Land and building is nothing, property and building. So it is not necessarily required that a building has to be created. It can be your land as well, right? So you can create land as your master data, and under that also you can create assign like rental objects and contract. But in our case, what we are going to create is building. Okay, so I'll take like one business entity. My first business entity is Bangalore. Now under that, the building is Phoenix Market City, Bangalore, Brookfield. Okay. And another building will be Phoenix Market City, Bangalore, Electronic City. So these two building I'll be creating under business entity. Okay. I hope I'm clear until this. So after creating these two building, that is Brookfield Mall and Electronic City Mall, what I'll do is I'll create either rental unit or pool space. Rental unit can be, I can create both of them as well. Okay. Rental unit can be like, let's say I have given you example like, how many shops are there in that mall on ground floor. Those shops I'll create as rental unit. So let's say I have created my 100 rental unit. 100 rental unit represent 200 shops in that mall. So each of the unit I can maintain like, okay, on which floor this unit is, from when I enter from like into the mall, from the left or from the right. where exactly or the what number of shop is this. Let's say I have entered into mall. Now from the left, fourth shop is of Nika. Okay, I can maintain that as well under rental unit. Okay, now coming to pool spaces. Pool space, I have mentioned earlier that it can be your food court area, which I have given like created as pool space, or another pool space can be of like a common area wherein multiple vendor have like installed their small stalls. It can be some credit card vendor, it can be some marketing vendor, it can be some NGO vendor. All of those can be created under pool space, and that will be created as rental space. So let's say 1,000 square feet of rental pool space is there. Out of that, 200 I have assigned to one of the credit card marketing vendor. Then 300 I have assigned to one of another automotive vendor. Let's say Mercedes has come in with their newly car, and they want to display that car in the mall. So what I'll do is I'll create another rental space of 300 for Mercedes. Now out of 1,000, 500 has been utilized, and I have left with 500. Now when okay, Mercedes has come for only 2 days of event. Now after 2 days they have moved out. Now again that 300 square feet of area which they have utilized, it will again fall back under pool space. So ideally when it was of 500, 500 was been left out of pool space. When this 300 has again added back, then again 800 will be left out. That is unutilized space. So that means the mall management or the real estate manager of the mall will get to see that okay, under this pool space 800 has like 800 square foot is still available. If someone comes and asks for 250 square foot of area, I can easily assign. Or even if 800 square feet of area, if someone asks for, I can assign. But if someone asks for 1,000 square feet of area, then I do not have that much of area. That is how we get to see from reports. So standard reports are there in SAP REFX. So when we execute or pull out those reports, through that report we get to see that. Again, it is just explanation of the usage view. The usage view contains the rental object and forms the basis of internal and external rental. Rental object can include pool spaces, rental spaces, rental unit. Pool spaces, as I mentioned, overall area. Rental spaces is out of this overall area, how much have we utilized. Whatever we have utilized, we have to create it as rental space. And rental unit is nothing, it is individual rental unit, wherein we need not have to create any of the pool space or rental space. For that, it will be an individual space, rental unit. The pool space represent a group of spaces that can be flexibly leased out in any combination. Rental spaces are formed for rental. Rental unit remain fixed object that can be leased out only as a unit. Now coming to architectural view. The very first thing under architectural view organizational structure is locality. Okay. So locality is nothing in which mall or like which city your this property is there. As I mentioned, Bangalore we were taking as an example. So locality will be Bangalore. Property either Brookfield Mall or the Electronic City Mall. Main floor. So let's say on which floor that particular architecture is there. So initially I have given you an example that on ground floor of the mall we have a fountain. So we can define those as well, like floor area, your ground floor, first floors, top floor, all of this can be created. And under that again same office, store, storage, or object 1, object 2, this can be defined. The architectural view is an optional view that is company code independent. It provides an architectural structure that represents the physical structure of a building. it comes only when a physical structure, we want to represent any of the physical structure of any of the property, then only we utilize architectural view. It is a user defined hierarchy structure that is named according to an organization's specific nomenclature for the real estate object they wish to represent, such as building, part of a building, wing, floor, part of a floor, room in a building, room on a floor, tower structures, linear structures, land parcel, etc. These are the integrations linked to CAD, CAMS, GIS, geospatial information systems. These all can be there. So master data, coming to master data, what all master data we can create? The very primary master data are like usage type, permitted usage, usage, building plan. So usage type is like when we create a rental unit, rental space or pooled space, we have to assign usage type to them. So usage type is like we can say that okay, this particular usage type is for commercial, this particular usage type is for land, this particular usage type is for furniture. Okay, based on the requirement or business requirement, we can create the usage type, and based on the usage type, we will assign those particular usage type while creating your rental object. So what is the relevance of using usage type? So usage type and your contract, when we create a contract, it has a sync. So that usage type, let's say I have a contract type of building, land, vehicle, furniture. Okay, based on those contract type, I want that okay, whenever I create a contract for furniture, I only have to utilize rental object from furniture itself. So how do I configure that? So while creating rental object, I have to specifically use usage type as furniture itself. If I'll use building, and if I'll try to assign that particular building rental object to that particular contract which has furniture, then it will give you an error. So the reason why we use usage type is for the sync of your rental object and contract, wherein it helps us to for the reporting purpose. Currency, length unit, surface unit, volume unit, unit of measurement. These are the unit of measurement. We have multiple unit of measurement which we can configure. It's not just currency, length, unit, surface, volume. We also have like number of people, packs. So if you can, for one of the example I can give you is aviation industry. Let's say XYZ aviation organization is there, and they are also using REFX. So how exactly they can utilize REFX? So let's say one of the flight has come in and they want to understand that how much of that flight can be utilized, and how many like how exactly that flight has been utilized. So how they can configure is number of people allowed in one flight and number of people already booked for that particular flight. I'll give you an example of, we have Vistara has a flight from Bangalore to Mumbai, and they have a capacity of around like 140 passengers to be allowed in one flight. Each flight will be having a maximum capacity of 140, and out of 140, let's say that okay, 132 or 133 has already been booked. So those unit can be configured over here. So how exactly that can be configured? The number of people have booked can be configured as number of packs. That will be our unit of measurement. Partners. So again, REFX can be activated on S4 HANA as well as on ECC as well, but on certain versions of ECC, not on ECC EHP6. So for that, the very first thing is we have to convert in. If we are on ECC, we have to convert our customer and vendor master data into business partner data. And if we are on S4 HANA, then any which ways we have created our business partners. Like our partners are like either customers, vendor, those will be created. So coming to the calculation, we can configure multiple condition type within REFX. It can be your basic rent, advance payment, flat rates, service charges, heating expenses, surcharges. Okay. Default unit of measurement, tenancy law. So we can also default this value. Let's say if any of the I have multiple company codes for one of the organization, India, UAE, Australia, and for each company code, I want to default certain values. Like tenancy law is there, unit of measurement is there. I can default that. So that I can default this value at the company code level itself. I need not have to give those input again and again. Building value, optional option rates. So building value is again like we are creating any of the buildings or business entity, we can give that value, or like we can input a certain amount at the building itself. So when we create contract, it will pull up through the building. If you remember our organizational structure, it comes through there. Double glazing, elevator, hot water, central heating. These are the characteristic, like how exactly we can configure. Office area, source area, guest house. This is what the master data is as of now. So business entity, what do you mean by business entity? A means of forming coherent groupings of individual rent objects depending on their purpose or geographical locations. The system automatically creates a business entity as an internal controlling object. In other words, the business entity is also an account assignment object. So as I mentioned, like you can identify what can be your business entity. Either it can be city, it can be country, it can be area of the city. Within area also you can define multiple business entity. Business entity are part of company code and groups building land into coherent unit. Land, buildings, and the rental object derived from them are ideally grouped to form business entities if the following material requirement of creating a business entity are met. They should have a common owner or at least be managed together. They should be situated directly near each other and form an enclosed area. There should not be any fundamental differences in their residential or usage value. In other words, they should be built according to the same construction engineering standard with the same construction method and have the same fixtures and fittings. Business entity structure, general data, reference factor, posting parameters, partner, availability, plant maintenance, architectural view. Building. So under business entity, if you remember, we have business after company code, we have building, sorry, business entity, and after business entity, we have either land or building. Land, so it can be either or. Okay, it is not necessarily that it should be land. If we have created land, then we have to create building as well. It can be either of the cases. Like if we have created building and that particular business process does not require land, then necessarily not required, we should not create any land. Okay, just like I have given an example of Phoenix Market City, they do not have any barren land, right? They open land area, they have all the buildings. So instead of creating land, what we will do is create building, so that further when we create our rental objects, we will be able to identify that particular rental object easily, that under Brookfield Mall or under Electronic City Mall, this particular rental object has been created. Again, an object based on which rooms or area, for instance, apartment, warehouse, stores are rented. A building is a part of business entity. The system automatically creates a building as an internal controlling object. In other words, buildings are account assignment object. Same as business entity, like when we assign any of the rental object or contract to rental object, then it ideally it flows back to building, then business entity. It is kind of reverse engineering. Structure, general data, dates, additional data, fixtures and fitting, characteristics, posting parameter. You categorize the building according to its type. and condition. Describe it fixtures and fitting, characteristics and area usage, and enter important dates such as construction year, start and end of construction, date of modernization, etc. You can also make assignment to a profit center or a business area. So at building level also you can assign either profit center or business area to that particular building or land. So what's the purpose of assigning profit center or business area? So ideally I'll give you an example. Let's say I have assigned XYZ profit center, and under that XYZ there are five cost center created. So when I'll create that rental object and contract, I'll have to mandate a system will mandatorily advise that you have to only use those five cost center which are being created under this profit center. So if I'll use some other cost center which has been created under some other profit center, system will automatically throw an error stating that some profit center cost center cannot be assigned in sync with profit center. So that is the main agenda of assigning profit center. You can assign it at the business building or land level or a rental object level as well. Parameters, the parameter of calculating deductible input tax option rate in the rental processes are ownership structure, partner availability, plant maintenance, architectural view. Okay, there can be a scenario that a certain building or certain rental object, let's say one shop is there which we have created as a unit. For that particular rental unit, it is not necessarily required that only one business partner, like one customer will be there. It can be a scenario that there are multiple customer in contract. We have a condition that okay, three customer are there who have entered into that contract. I'll take an example of what would be a better example. Rameshwaram Cafe. Okay, Rameshwaram Cafe, they have multiple owner of that cafe. So when they are coming into either of the Phoenix Mall and they want to set up their outlet in Rameshwaram in Phoenix Mall, those multiple, like let's say if two or three owner of those cafe are there, then those owner will come into contract with Phoenix Mall. So in that case, two customer will be created for this contract, and simultaneously we can also segregate the values of that contract as well. Let's say customer one is supposed to receive 70% of the contract value, like pay 70% of the contract value. Customer 2 is supposed to pay 30% of the contract value. We can also define that attributes in the contract. Property, defining properties. You can define property for entity types and complex type. Property define the characteristic of the data that an entity type or complex type instance will continue and runtime. The property of entity types and complex types are stored in properties subfolder within the entity types and complex type folder in your service builder project. Procedure, to create a new property, proceed as follow. Expand the data model folder in the tree view of your project. Expand complex type or entity type subfolder depending on the data object type for which you want to edit property, and double click the property subfolder. These are the nodes which you need to follow in mass maintenance view to switch to edit mode and add a new row to the table of the property. In the name column, enter a name for the property. For example, whatever name you wish to enter, you can enter at over there. Define the attributes of the property. Rental object. The following rental objects are available in the system. As I mentioned, pool space is there, rental space is there, rental unit is there, comparative apartment are there. Pool space, from which spaces are extracted to be rented. The pool space itself cannot be rented. The very basic thing, space itself cannot be rented out. If we are creating a pool space, it has to be necessary that we have to create a rental space of that pool space. Even if you have created a pool space of 1,000 square feet and you want to let out the 1,000 square feet itself, then also you have to create a rental space of that 1,000 square feet. You cannot rent out a pool space. Okay. part of a pooled space that can be rented. Rental unit only rented as a whole. Comparative apartment external rental object for adjustment using comparison. So an external rental object is nothing like if something has been if we are creating any of the without creating any of the hierarchy, we want to create a rental object, then that can be created as a comparative apartment. Usually it does not come in either of the business processes, this one. It is just a functionality which is available, but whatever I've seen, 99% of the business processes does not have these scenarios. Use: if you are using architecture view, a rental object can consist of one or more architectural room, one or more architectural spaces, a combination of architectural room and spaces. Rental object structure: when you are in rental object processing, first decide which type of rental object you wish to create. Which type of rental object, as in a rental space, pool space, rental unit. Okay, choose with the quick info to tracks to create, like rental unit such as apartment, pool space, rental space such as storage or advertising space which is subject to frequent change. You can see the flow over here. So again, these are all master data which we are explaining over here. Rental object topics: processing pool space, extracting rental spaces, processing rental unit, entering data for representative list of rents on rental unit, creating comparative group of apartment, reason for vacancy. Okay, one of the other things which you can also configure is vacancy. So let's say we have created a rental object, and certain rental object is supposed to be like a certain contract has to be terminated due to XYZ reason. So we can also configure the vacancy reason. Let's say if any of the object contract is there which has got naturally terminated, like when I say naturally, that means the tenure of the contract has got over. It was supposed to be for 2 years, and the 2 years have been completed. So we can configure that vacancy reason as well. If say like the contract was supposed to be of 2 years, and due to certain some circumstances, like the customer using XYZ rental unit, and there is some leakage or there is some maintenance and the property is not very well defined, or customer is having any issues with that property structure, then customer can like choose to vacant or move out of that property. And then we can also configure that reason, that okay, due to this certain reason, like property is not well fixed or well structured, due to which customer is moving out. So multiple vacancy reasons can also be configured over here. So these are the process flow, like how exactly it flows. Pooled space, as I mentioned, pooled space is you extract rental spaces from leased out, cannot be leased out as a whole, but you have to create a rental space out of pooled space, and then only you can create a contract of it. Same, a rental unit, when you once you create a rental unit, and then you can directly assign that rental unit to your contract. Usage type of rental object: screen screen sequence, overhead structure of the SCS, rental object types, SCC, service charge settlement participation, control of offered object, measurement type, derivable usage type, conditions. These all are the attributes which you can maintain under rental object. Okay, so this is a SAP screen. These are the measurement type which you can configure. When we will go through the SAP screen, I'll take you through, like either end of the session or on Monday, I'll take you through the SAP screen. I hope you guys have SAP REF, like sandbox system access. Do you guys have access to the system? So measurement types, these are the measurement types as I mentioned, which we can configure based on the requirement of business. Again, we also have validity of measurement. Okay, so let's say from certain date to certain date you want to configure in that measurement, you can also assign. If you see over here, validity of the measurement is also configured. Measurement are used to determine the measurable characteristic of objects. Measurement replace the area and apportionment units that we used in classic RE. You can also specify measurement of the real estate contract. So if you want to specify how much of area you have utilized in that contract, you can also specify that. As I mentioned, like measurement usually come into picture wherein the best example was for aviation, wherein one contract was there of one flight under which certain cost was incurred by that flight. So how many passengers were there? Like I mentioned, 132 passengers were there for Vistara Bangalore to Mumbai flight. Now that particular Kempagoda Airport Authority will have a contract with Vistara that okay, when a certain flight Vistara flight lands on Bangalore Airport, there are certain expenses incurred by the airport authority for an each individual flight, so that has to be bared by the aviation company, like landing of the flight, refueling, providing the whole tarmac, all the other amenities to flight and crew. All of these amenities and other services which are being provided by airport authority can be covered under one contract. And based on the number of packs, or number of packs is nothing but your measurement, certain contract value can also be determined. Like even if the Bangalore authority airport authority has a contract that okay, each individual passenger you have onboarded from Bangalore, XYZ amount has to be paid to Bangalore airport authority, that can also be maintained in the contract. And that is where the measurement comes into picture. Measurement use, again, as I mentioned, architectural usage object, measurement can be assigned at business entity, building, property, rental object, settlement unit, participation group. And participation group is like, settlement unit is majorly used for service charge settlement. Okay, when a service charge settlement related contract is there, then only it comes into picture. Measurement of rental objects are used, calculation of condition amount, reports, option rate determination. Calculation of condition amount is in service charge settlement, which I mentioned, and report is like how exactly the measurement has like based on the service charge settlement, what exactly the overall cost has been incurred. It can be determined. Customizing measurement type, what all configuration and customizing is available. Okay, measurement type: residential space, water consumption, rental space, retail space, room capacity in person, parking space. Then through that we can determine architectural object, locality, building, wing, parking lot, floor, room. Again, it flows to like architectural object, doctor's office, and then it rental object gets created if we are determining architectural object. And if we are not determining architectural object and we are determining usage view, then this will be the flow wherein we have to determine a usage type. If you remember, when we create a rental object, we have to determine a usage type. So usage type can be privately financed apartment, store, office, doctor's office, garage. And if you remember, I have also given you an example of furniture, building, vehicle, something like that. And based on that rental object, these all three types of rental object can be created, and it can be assigned to a contract. So this is the customizing part. Okay, how exactly you can determine the measurement. So what are the mandatory thing when you determine the measurement? The very first thing is measurement type. What is the measurement type? Either it is in value, volume, like kgs, liters, or it's in units like square feet, square meters, square centimeters, that can be derived. Okay. Derivable measurements, like derivable measurement is also like optional. Only if the total measurement is defined, then only it comes into picture. Derivable measurement is something like it will come into picture for cold space area. Furthermore, you can make other optional setting exceptions in customizing for each contract type, usage type, object type, and architectural object type. What does it mean by is like you can determine which measurement type can be used for certain rental object and contract. So that means if you have defined for, let's say for building, if you have defined values like square centimeter, square feet, square meters of areas, then you have to utilize those, and like you have to assign those measurement types only. For building, you cannot assign volume related measurement type like kilos, liters, something like that, or number of people, something like that. You cannot assign that. So when you have restricted those kind of settings for measurement type against rental object, then it automatically get determined to contract as well. You can also like restrict those setting at contract level as well. Okay. So that helps us to like mislead, it doesn't mislead the contract. Like user does not have any other functionality available to assign like kgs and liters to the contract and rental object. Define measurement, you can use measurement to define measurable characteristic of your object. You can specify measurement for usage object, architectural object, rent real estate objects, as I mentioned. Posting parameters definition, if multiple objects are assigned to real estate contract, then certain agreement group of parameter have to be made for individual object in the contract. To have to avoid having to create such agreement over and over for each object, you can create, you can group them as term under a single id. What does it mean by term of posting parameters? So let's say I have a contract of 2 years. Okay. For first year of that contract, I have a agreement that the tax, or the first year of uh, under posting parameter, first of all, I'll let, just to let you know, under posting parameter, we can assign tax, we can assign tax group, tax code, tax type, tax group, partner, then payment method, bank, all of these we can assign. Then comes your organizational structure, that is nothing but your profit center, cost center. All of this can be assigned under posting parameter. Okay. And each posting parameter, we have a standard term. When I say term is like standard terms comes with a solution, as if you do not want to change either of the parameters, like as I mentioned, partner, tax type, tax group. If it is constant throughout the contract period, then you need not have to assign another term to that posting parameter. But we have an agreement that okay, out of the 2 year of contract, first year the tax percentage or the tax group will be of XYZ tax code, which has 5% of tax rate, and for second year of the contract it should be 10% of the contract. So what we can do is we can create two terms and we can assign a time slice. Time slice is nothing but the validity from first year to second, from zero to first year, your 5% of tax type will be assigned to that particular posting parameter. In second term, you can assign 10% of your tax. So this is how your posting parameter helps, or term id helps to define your posting parameters. Partners, business, SAP business partner in REFX. You can create and manage master data on the business partner centrally with SAP business partner. The SAP business partner has three technical aspects. Business role, you define these as suits your needs in customizing. You can set the field status for each business role in the customizing. So that means you have partner available as FI customer. If you want to extend a certain rule to that customer, I'll take an example that particular XYZ customer is there, which is also your. So what you can do is you can create a new business partner role as tenant, and you can assign that tenant role to your customer. And when you do a configuration, you can also assign business partner role to your contract. That means whenever you are creating a lease out contract, apart from FI customer, you also have to assign a tenant role to that business partner. So how does that help you is, it helps to assign a signatory. It defines that, okay, this is your tenant. You necessarily, sometimes it is not required that one customer can be your tenant as well. So when you extend your roles as a tenant, then only it get defined that, okay, XYZ customer is also your tenant. Customizing technical functions belonging to business role category. SAP provides business role category. You must be aware of this, like all of, how exactly role category can be defined. You can program directly on them in the application. View business partner. The business partner view defines how the processing dialog is structured in this role. Structure of the view, screens and sequence. Partner management. A business partner is commercially entity which with which another commercially entity has some form of alliance. The relationship may be a contractual exclusive bond in which both entities commit not to ally with third parties. Business partner can be organization or person. Again, this is a basic configuration of your business partner. Many of you must be aware of it. As I mentioned, tenant, landlord, prospect can be. Tenant is something, if a lease out scenario is there, then we can configure it as a tenant, your customer. If a leasing scenario is there, then your vendor will be configured as landlord. Prospect is something when a customer comes in and inquire something with you, then you can also create that particular customer as prospect. And then it once the prospect has turned into customer, then it will be assigned as tenant. A business partner role is used to classify a business partner in business term. The role you assign to a business partner reflects the function it has and the business transaction in which it is likely to be involved. A business partner role is used to classification purposes during data exchange in SAP ERP. So this is partner management. You must be aware, like your business partner can be person, group, or organization. How exactly you can assign it? You can just have a look of it. I'll not go through it because many of you must be already aware of it. Challenges placed on partner management. So when a service contract is created, a service contract will be created with your vendor account. As I mentioned, a service contract is nothing but leasing contract. When leasing contract is created, your partner will be vendor. Okay. And when a lease out contract is created, it can be your tenant and customer. So why we are saying vendor and customer? Because landlord can be your second role, but to make the posting happen or to make any kind of posting to the business partner, you also have to assign the FI vendor or FI customer, because ideally the financial posting will happen on customer and vendor only, right? You cannot do any posting to tenant role. That is how the business partners are configured. Prerequisite, this is the path how exactly you can configure business partner related activity. So again, in S4HANA, we have two type of business partner settings. One is under your master data synchronization, which is at SPRO level, wherein we cross application is there, and under that you go and you do your synchronization of master data. That is one of the configuration wherein you do. And apart from that, the another business partner configuration which you also do is under flexible real estate management node as well. It's not like once you have done your business partner configuration under master data or cross application, it is done. You need to again go into flexible real estate component, like node under your SPRO, and again you need to do those kind of settings, okay, for business partner. There you can also define which business partner roles are permitted for which objects and contract types. You can make the settings for architectural object for each object type, rental object for each usage type, real estate contract for each contract type. As I mentioned, like we can also permit like or restrict our business partner role based on the usage type, contract type, and rental object type as well. Okay. It's not like if we have created a lease out contract, that is a customer contract, and a customer contract is also allowed to assign vendor, that is landlord, to that contract. We should not permit that kind of settings. So ideally we have to restrict that. Okay, if a lease out contract is there, then tenant and FI customer business partner role should be allowed to lease out. If a leasing contract is there, then landlord and FI vendor needs to be permitted or allowed. So again, those settings are done under flexible real estate. These are the navigators, how exactly you can navigate through. Once you have the access to your sandbox system, you can go through it. I'll also show it. I'll just walk you through the system so that you'll have a gist. And once you have the access available with you, then probably you can just start exploring it. Okay. Business partner, as I mentioned, there are two configuration from business partner. Once you create it at central level, that is nothing at your uh, cross component level, and then you extend it and assign it to your, let's say if I have created FI customer, then I can assign a tenant role to that. These are the standard rules which are there, as SAP has provided some standard rules for business partners. You can assign the standard role itself, or else if any of your client has any specific requirement, you can accordingly configure those business partner role and assign it. But again, that depends how exactly it is. Usually most of the time the standard business partner role suffice, and you can assign them. Different real estate management processes require different business partner. You must maintain certain business partner data depending on the type of business process. Like as I mentioned, freelance employees, interested party is nothing but your prospect. Contact person, contact person is nothing but individual. Service providers, it can be organization, individual, and tenants. Standard SAP business partner roles are there, as I mentioned above. Applicant TR0640, for administrator TR0806, technology TR0807. Apart from tenants and landlord, these are the other standard business partner role. Caretaker TR0808. These all also can be assigned. Resubmission. Now, this is another topic. Use and prerequisite of resubmission. You use this function to define resubmission date on which real estate objects are checked and submitted for continued processing. SAP delivers commonly used resubmission rules. However, you can also define your own rules in customizing and implement using the business add-in Reka underscore resubmission. Okay. So, what does resubmission mean? So, resubmission is like any of the contract is getting over, or the tenure of the contract is getting, they want to extend the contract, then they have to again like renewal of the contract is there, then that renewal can be resubmitted, and then through resubmission rule it will have approval process, and through that we can manage a renewal of the contract. So what all things can be managed under resubmission? Define resubmission reason, define resubmission rules, making settings for object type. Again, what kind of resubmission rules can be permitted each rental object or contract object. Okay. So this can also be managed through permitted object types. The function is available in the RE navigator for the following object, for which all objects: contract, real estate, REFX contract, business entity, land, building, rental object, architectural object, participation group, settlement unit, comparative groups of apartment. All of these object can be these all object comes under resubmission. So you can assign resubmission rule to all of these objects. Creating business partner, there are two new functions for mass processing of resubmission data available outside of the RE Navigator. This function which you can call from SAP Easy Access screen, that is SPRO, allow you to process dates for all object types and only for contracts. Due to their special selection criteria, these functions allow you to process many resubmission date at once. In addition, you can subsequently generate date for periodic submission rule as well. So today what we have covered is master data and business partner. So under master data, we know that there are two type of organizational structure. One is usage view, second is architectural view. And under architectural view, we have locality, then we have our property, main floor, floor, and our object. And under usage, we have business entity, property, then under property or building, we have our rental object. And your rental object can be your pool space, rental space, or rental unit. Those, like, we cannot assign pool space to a contract. Permitted rental object that are allowed to assign to a contract are rental unit and rental space. Now I'll take you through the system just to give you a gist of how exactly it looks like. So under SPRO, this is your flexible real estate management node. Another T code, rather than going through SPRO, is also your Reka cust. So when you execute Reka cust, it directly takes you to the flexible real estate management. So the very first thing is basic settings. In basic setting, what all things we do is, the very first thing is activate business function, sub business function, as in which all business function we to have an integration with. If you remember, we have a cross module integration available with REFX, that is with finance, asset accounting, FM, public project system. So we can activate those business function over here. And another one more thing is activate your REFX module. You also need to activate a business transaction event, that is EA fin. Okay. EA fin is for flexible real estate. So EFIN is for flexible real estate. So once we activate the EFIN, that means we have activated flexible real estate again with finance. And after it has been activated, we can also, based on our requirement, we can also activate certain business processes under this, like service settlement, service charge settlement. All of this sub model under REFX can also be activated. Once this has been activated, then the very first thing which we do under REFX is make company code relevant settings. Okay. So the company code which we are going to use for our training purpose is 1710. Okay. So ideally there are some standard provided company code. If you see over here, this is your company code configuration look like. Standard company code, manager company code, reference company code, mandate company code, condominium owner company code. So standard company code come as in when we have to post any of the financial entry, it will be your standard company code. And manager company code will be when we need not have to post any of the entry. We are just only managing your real estate. That is, we are just managing our properties. As in, we need to understand how many properties have been utilized. That can be done through manager company code. After company code type, we have account system, that is FI settings. Under account system, we also have some other FICA. If we have activated FICA, That is like if you want to activate a FICA integration, we can assign FC2. So other things are if we want to default any of the settings like tax type, tax group. As I mentioned, we can, if you remember, I have informed you that your measurement types can also be defaulted at company code level so that you need not have to input at every level, business entity, land, building. Whenever you create, you need not have to enter it again and again. Okay. Apportionment rule. This comes when we use service charge settlement and sales-based relevant contracts. Okay. Service charge settlement is something like, as I mentioned, like common areas were there, food court, commonly incurred cost. We will need to settle those costs. So based on the apportionment rule, it can be defined. Okay. Apart from that, you can also define what all object assignment you want. Like whenever a line item, whenever a accounting entry get posted and a line item is there, which all items should be reflected on that line item, like cost centers, order, WBS, asset, which asset is assigned. These all things can be. Now, real estate management in controlling area. So if we are using CO, then we also need to activate real estate function in CO. Okay. So for 17, so when we select any of the controlling area, we can define what all component can be activated, like for cost center component active or not, projects, which all at what all level it can be settled, what all controlling cost element can be activated, like cost object, sales order, projects, all of these can be activated. Order management, whether it is active or not. Commitment management, whether you want to, like based on it, if you want to activate at cost center, you will activate cost component only, cost center component only, and if you are not using order management, then you won't activate that. Okay. So if you remember, I have mentioned that we have another node for business partner under REFX. So this is the node. These are the relevant settings which we do for business partner. These are standard business partner roles are already there, which we can use. So once you guys have access to your sandbox system, you can just start exploring this node so that on Monday when we start doing a hands-on like system review, we can go through it. Okay. If you want to make a note how exactly we can directly go to flexible real estate node, this is the T code, Rekha Cust. We will be covering for today.